after the damage of the climate change,
Yes.
it leaves a lot of destruction behind it.
Mm.
It puts people in more vulnerable positions. And any government has an obligation to support their citizens in any difficulty they may find themselves.
So my first question is, Minister, as an African leader at COP29 this year, which is like a global forum. So what drives your passion for environmental conservation, and how do you envision Africa shaping the global climate change agenda?
Thank you very much for the question. Let me put it in context.
Mm.
I'm here with a delegation, I'm leading a delegation, members of Parliament, National Assembly, responsible for oversight function under the Natural Resources Standing Committee. Natural Resources in Namibia covers Ministry of Mines and Energy, Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, and then finally Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, under which the climate change falls under the Ministry of Environment. This is why we're here, because it is our constitutional responsibility to do an oversight over the functions and programs under this particular ministry. Whatever the ministry does on climate change, we have a responsibility in terms of our constitution to do an oversight.
Oh, like which means like the committee that you're actually leading, it covers everything that has to do with the environment, everything that has to basically like the environment itself.
Yes, environment is one of it, but everything that is classified as under natural resources. This is why from land.
But is natural resources not under environment?
Well, this is it falls in there.
Okay.
Yes.
All
You
right.
can't do anything outside any other environment.
Is true. So what is your main goal here as a community, as a delegation that you came to COP 2029? What do you hope to take back home, or what do you hope to you actually gain from you coming here, from you actually attending COP 29?
Okay. COP29, meaningly, since the resolution was taken, they started with COP 1, 2, 3. We are now at the 29th COP.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, what was resolved to address the damages caused through the environment, this is what we refer to as a climate change. We have not been able, as global nations, to address. This is why we're here. The whole world is here
Yes.
to continuously seeking solutions how we can face through two main sectors. One, to mitigate the impact or the effect caused by the climate change, or how we can adapt, meaning how can we live with these changes, because after the damage of the climate change,
Yes.
it leaves a lot of destruction behind it.
Mm.
It puts people in more vulnerable positions. For example, if there is no rain because of the warm,
Yes.
the heat, then people cannot get rain. And when they don't have rain, they cannot plow,
Yes.
they cannot grow food.
Yes.
It causes that. Now somebody must come to the rescue in the absence thereof.
Yes.
Secondly, when there is floods, it destroys homes, it destroys the land, food, everything.
Yes.
What then happens was that is destroyed. We must assist them to mitigate the sufferings as a result of the damage, or we must assist them to adapt with the new changes, because now they don't have homes,
Yeah.
now they don't have food, but they must still make a living through that.
Yes.
So many countries, as a result, have put laws in place how to manage those, which includes to allocate financial resources and a permanent structure that if there are floods, that structure would immediately help those affected through floods. If there is no rain, there are drought, there must be structure how to assist the people back home.
Yeah.
You know that we have got drought.
Yes. Severe
Now,
one.
in our case, Namibia, we have the office of the Prime Minister tasked by the government that when there is drought, although people will not have enough food, we don't leave it in the hands of the Ministry of Agriculture alone, but the office of the Prime Minister would then coordinate with all ministries concerned to mitigate, in other words, to support those are affected by this calamity.
Yes.
So that is why we are here, having an oversight over the programs of this particular ministry. We need to learn from other countries whether they have put laws in place and how those laws are effectively being implemented. Or they have got policies, or they have got structures. And this is why the Ministry of Environment is also here. Also them as executive organ of state to learn from others. Now, in the absence of laws, we cannot say there's nothing we can do about it because it directly affects our citizens. And any government has an obligation to support their citizens in any difficulty they may find themselves.
I see. Because so the minister, the office of the prime minister, because I actually always had a question of what, like, why is the minister, the office of the prime minister, the one tasked to actually deal with the disasters, the climate disaster, the environmental disaster in the responses, and not the Ministry of Environment or not the Ministry of Agriculture to actually do responses when it comes to that. Because like especially most of the regions that are severely affected is the northern regions, especially when it comes to the drought right now. So how does it work? What system is there? Because the office of the prime minister is the head office is in Windhoek, and then the northern region and some of the southern region. So what is the system that actually I think what is the system that is used to ensure that actually those solutions that are given or those actions that have to be taken, especially now maybe the drought relief or anything, the adaptation measures or the mitigation measures that are taken, they actually really reach to the people themselves in the regions that are actually affected. The Okunene region, the Angwena, the Maheke, the Taras region, the Rundu and Zambezi regions, like and yeah.
This is how it works. The government is responsible to its citizens. Now, in Namibia, instead of during drought, where you would ask the Ministry of Agriculture and say, all right, that is your responsibility. Or because it's an environmental calamity, and say, Ministry of Environment, that's your responsibility. Our structure is that it must be coordinated through the coordinating administrative organ called the Office of the Prime Minister. The Office of the Prime Minister has, in turn, structures through all 14 regions. Then that office coordinates to identify what we refer to as the vulnerable communities, those that need help through the office of the governors and the councillors who are responsible for the different constituencies. We are coordinating it through that office, but also there is a specific budgetary allocation coordinated by that office. That does not mean that the other offices, like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, has got nothing to do with those issues. They still perform their normal programs to render those services. But during this time, it is now coordinated at the highest level.
Um,
That is how we operate and deal with these
this
issues
is
in Namibia.
um,
Then that office would now coordinate with identification of those directly affected through the councillors, through the office of the governors, being channeled there, and then from the office of the prime minister,
yeah.
they then sent to the different regions. And because it was identified from the regions, from the constituencies,
Yeah.
they then go and assist those communities that are directly affected. That is how we are dealing with that. In other countries where they have got a law, the law would then clearly say how to deal with issues of this nature.
Okay, so the other question that I also want to ask you is, as a key figure in the Namibian environment and tourism sector as well, what leadership principle guides your decisions, and what legacy do you hope to actually leave behind for future generations?
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
I am from an organ of legislature, which is an oversight function
Yes.
to the executive. Our responsibility in terms of the constitution is to see that what the executive organ is supposed to do is indeed being done. If there is not enough resources, it's our responsibility to bring it under the attention of the executives to increase and adjust the allocation to this entity. The only legacy is whether Namibia as a whole has been responsive to the needs and to the challenges or not. And if not, what needs to be done jointly and collectively to then meet that particular challenge. But that's executive that should first come up with that one. If there is no law, it is not the legislator that must, but it must be initiated first for then parliament to make a law.
Oh.
So it is not parliament that must start that and then, no, it must be initiated there because parliament is the only organ that by constitution to make laws, not anybody else. But that initiate must first come from the executive who knows what they will need to execute that mandate.
Interesting. So, which means like the committee that you head only deals with the development of different policies and legislations, but doesn't deal with actually, let me say, actions or actually putting those policies into action, or how do you put it?
No.
Okay.
Legislator makes laws.
Yes, yes.
Once the law is made, the executive must implement that law. Legislator, in terms of the oversight, is really like an auditor. You go and audit and say, you said you do ABC. This is what you have done. That's fine. Or you have not done what you said you're going to do. We then recommend for the remedy thereof.
Okay.
That is how the function of legislator must be understood. Oversight, supervision.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Interesting. So at COP29, Namibia is recognized for its effort in combating climate change. So can you just share specific actions and initiatives the ministry is actually implementing to address climate issues, particularly in rural areas facing the severe drought?
That question would be best answered by the ministry because Parliament is not a ministry.
Yeah.
What I can then say is that as an entity or an organ responsible for oversight, the ministry has what we call EIF, Environmental Investment Fund, meaning they have got
it's
some
under the
funds.
government.
Yes. They have some funds where they are supporting rural communities through horticulture or through water and electricity. The ministry is running those programs from legislator and from the oversight point of view. We went to visit, and they are running into 6 regions out of the 14. We have found what is happening there. We have spoken to the beneficiaries, and that report has been tabled to Parliament in terms of our findings. So this is how in Namibia we are dealing with those.
Right. And, at forums like COP29, partnerships are key. So how is Namibia actually leveraging international collaboration to enhance its environmental policies and really achieve the climate goals?
Once again, that's a Minister of Environment that must answer that question.
But you chair the committee also.
No, you must start separating the oversight function and the implementation part. If it is not implemented, we cannot oversight except saying that yes, there is a policy, but this policy is not being implemented. If it is implemented, how effective is it? And this is why we go and we talk to the beneficiaries to determine the efficiency and the effectiveness of such policy by the ministry. Yes.
I see. So thank you so much, Honorable Tweya, and we appreciate you taking your time. And any last words that you would love to say, maybe as an African leader overall, or maybe as well, or any last words?
Well, finally, all that I want to say is that climate change is not unique to Namibia. Climate change does not know borders. Climate change does not know race or color, etc.
Yes.
It affects men, women, children, rich, poor. The rich have got at least perhaps means to immediately respond to that, but the poor, once you remove the house, so it affects us all. If we can stand together means when the government listens to the concerns of those directly affected, we must put all our resources together to help those in need now and today, because they must also get to tomorrow, and we also need them. So whatever our resources, we need to work together, consolidate, and move and support each other, because we need one another.
Yes.
In Namibia, it may be wrong if we think that climate change only affects the people in the north. It affects everybody. The people in the north, the people in Kunene, the people in Erongo, the people in Karas, the people in Oshotenjupa. It affects us all. But we need to support the initiatives and the efforts of government in addressing this. Therefore, us holding public offices to render these services to mitigate should not see it as an opportunity to make more money for ourselves.
Yes, amen. Amen.
So that is what I mean, and that is what I want to call on Namibians to stand together to support the efforts of the government in assisting the needy, the most vulnerable. It's only then that we can stand together as a nation. And the government, those holding those offices, must also be genuine and sincere to listen to the needy and really to respond, because the government does not have all the solutions or all the resources. The little that they have, they are assisting those in need.